In the NBA draft, you should always pick best player available. However, sometimes a fit for a team can make or break a prospect. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about our top 3 picks for which teams fit each prospect. So we're going to go by one by one and give our top 3 teams. For my first prospect, Darren Peterson, the number 1 ideal fit, in my opinion, is the Indiana Pacers. This is the perfect fit. 1, the Pacers love to play fast. 2, you get an elite playmaker in Tyrese Halliburton. You get an elite, rolling big man in Zubac. And you can play, I don't like one-on-one comparisons, but I do like the comparison of Darren Peterson to Ray Allen. I think they play super similar, and I think Darren Peterson can score with the ball, but he is best without the ball. And I think, if Halliburton is dominating the ball and Peterson's just trying to get open, that is completely fine. I love this fit. I also think Peterson's a good defender, and he's a pretty decent point of attack defender. So he'll be able to play with the Tyrese Halliburton, while Tyrese Halliburton could just try and, make defensive plays off ball like he did in the playoffs last year. That's my favorite fit.
Not to be lame and agree with you right off the bat, but yeah, I can't argue with that. I think the Pacers are such an ideal fit for him when you talk about his offensive talent and their philosophy. And he's also going to be in a role where there isn't going to be a ton of pressure on him to right away be the guy. Now, maybe he wants to be the guy, and if so, hands off the wheel, let him go, let him be a 25-point per game scorer right off the bat. But we saw how well they could make a guy like Benedict Mathurin fit, whose focus was so much on scoring, and a guy who's even more naturally talented, like Darren Peterson on that team, especially next to a guy who's so intelligent in Tyrese Halliburton, a veteran like Pascal Siakam. They have such a solid team. Darren Peterson would thrive there. My number 2 team, and if you watched our mock draft, you might have been able to guess this, is the Sacramento Kings. I think that with the lack of generally everything that they have there, this is going to give Darren Peterson kind of the opposite of what he has in Indiana, which sounds weird fit-wise, but it's going to give him the opportunity to really figure out the kind of basketball player he is and explore his scoring and have this sort of freedom to be the player that he is. And I think it's also going to motivate him. Now, there is some worry as to whether or not the culture around the Sacramento Kings is going to be good for him, but I think Darren Peterson, at least I hope Darren Peterson is the kind of guy that is going to embrace being the face of the Sacramento Kings, because he will be right away. And regarding what they need, they do need scoring. They have a couple good big prospects that are going to help around the rim, but they don't really have anybody as a guard that I look to and say that, there's somebody they should bank on for the future. So it's going to be Darren Peterson's team. It's going to be Darren Peterson's spot, and he's going to have the opportunity to completely flourish if he is able to in that role.
Okay. I am going to very politely disagree with you. Mm-hmm. I think that you can't build a culture around Darren Peterson, and I think he's super talented, but I think he is a guy who he has to join a team where their culture is already placed. So my number 2 team was actually the Utah Jazz, because they have so much talent already. And when I think about a 2 guard for the Jazz, you think about the projected starting lineup. Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., Walker Kessler. They need a 2, and they need one who can guard the perimeter, and they need one who can shoot threes. And that is exactly what Darren Peterson could do. Honestly, this maybe should be the number 1 fit for Darren Peterson. I just like the play style of the Jazz way more with him, but I just think you allow him to do what he wants. He's not going to have the points per game that you'll want, but I think it will force him to grow as a defender, versus if he's on a bad team, he might just start chucking bad shots and not playing defense. Kansas is talented, but that's kind of what he was doing for Kansas. And I didn't like the way that season played out, in my opinion. So I do think of any of the prospects that we're going to talk about, he is the one where I need him in a winning situation.
That's interesting. So we definitely have slightly different philosophies on these players, because my next team, not a winning situation. Very similar to the Sacramento Kings, actually. My 3rd best fit for Darren Peterson would be the Brooklyn Nets. I think they drafted a bunch of point guards. I think they have Claxton at their center. I think they have Michael Porter Jr. at the small forward, who's a guy that, even though we joke about him never swinging the rock, he's super efficient. He's super efficient as a scorer. He's not a guy that needs the ball in his hands all the time to be able to score. He can just catch and shoot, and he doesn't see the contest, apparently. So I think Darren Peterson in this role is going to get to handle the ball a lot as the 2 guard.
So you want him handling the ball?
I do want him handling the ball. I actually do think, when I've watched his ability to drive and get to the basket, he's extremely good at it. I think it's been limited recently because of whatever injury he's dealing with, whether it's a lingering issue with cramps or a legitimate injury that they're just not disclosing. But
I think his ability to kick out isn't hindered by his injury, personally. So, and he has not shown that all of his. He did show it in high school, and that is something that, it's great. He didn't show it in this college season at all. He went so many games in a row without a single assist. Or more than 1 assist, I mean.
That is true. He fits the culture of the Nets, I guess. But regardless,
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
regardless, I do think I like him in a role where he's able to handle the ball a lot and take a lot of command of the offense, because I do think that in spite of what we've seen with his lack of assists, he is a guy that does understand, where he needs to be on the floor and understands where other people are on the floor. Otherwise, he wouldn't be as good of a driver as he is, because he does understand spacing to a degree. He just needs to apply that to being able to kick the ball out, which, let's be honest, like, even though he hasn't shown that, that is like one of the easiest things to do in basketball, is to just drive and kick the ball out to the perimeter. And if he's kicking it out to a guy like Michael Porter Jr., that's an assist like 50% of the time if it's an open shot. So
No, yeah, for sure. My third team, again, we have completely different philosophies. I want the Atlanta Hawks. I think that the Hawks have built this culture with Quinn Snyder that everyone gets to handle the ball, everyone gets to bring it up, and I like that with Peterson. And I think Peterson is a guy who I want him bringing it up sometimes, but not all the time. I don't want him to be a point guard, and he fits this exact culture. I think you can, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been great, but the Hawks are looking for a number 2 scoring guy, and Peterson can be that. Peterson fits the defensive scheme so well with the Hawks. He could play alongside either Nickeil or Dyson Daniels, both offensively and defensively. I think it would be an amazing fit. And so, yeah, all 3 teams I think will be playoff teams next year. Maybe the Jazz, I don't know. But those are my 3 for Peterson. So, yeah, completely different philosophies. We are definitely, this video, not agreeing too much.
Nope.
I'll go ahead and move on. Cam Boozer, I think he would be fine. I think he is a guy you can kind of build the culture around. However, my number 1 team is not a guy like that. Actually, you could argue this team could be. The Memphis Grizzlies are the number 1 team for Cameron Boozer for me. He gets to play next to a creating point guard in John Morant. He gets to play next to a rim protector in Zach Edey, and he gets to facilitate to them. Now, hopefully, John Morant can play a little bit more off ball. Hopefully, Zach Edey can actually stay healthy. But I think overall, he gets the starting power forward spot, obviously. He kind of gets to do his thing offensively, but he doesn't have to be the number 1 option, because it can be John Morant. And this is assuming that John Morant stays on the Grizzlies, which I think will happen next season. So I like that fit a lot. I think also the Grizzlies are a really good defense, and Boozer defensively he kind of concerns me. So I think if you get a bunch of defensive playmakers around him, he'll thrive.
no, I actually do agree with you a lot with the Memphis Grizzlies. They are not my number 1, I would say, but they are on my list. I would actually say my number 1 is the Dallas Mavericks. Similarly to what you said, but because I do like some of the defensive philosophies that team has, and I think him next to a guy like Cooper Flagg would be a really good fit. I do like his ability to pass. I like his ability to set Cooper Flagg up in situations where he can succeed. He doesn't have this sort of point guard role where he's going to be bringing the ball up, so maybe that still hinders Cooper Flagg, but I do think his ability to find guys and also have these guys like operating around him where he doesn't have to be the number 1 offensive option from day one, kind of similarly to how you're saying with the Grizzlies and their defensive identity. I think it would really help him. And I also like how it would benefit Cooper Flagg too. I feel like they would play off each other really well.
How do you think they'll play off each other?
I just think that Boozer, well, number 1, I think that Cooper Flagg's ability to drive to the basket and create some degree of gravity, and his ability to find guys off the drive is going to help Boozer, because a lot of the things that we see where Boozer struggles a little bit is really trying to like dribble at the top of the key, and he kind of seems a little bit passive. So if he can be put in positions where he can make a quick decision, I think that'll help him with his scoring more. And then secondly, I also feel like defensively, one of the big things we say about Cam Boozer is that he can move his feet well, but he's not too lengthy, which hurts him. But having Cooper Flagg as a help side defender coming over with as much length as he has is going to allow Boozer the luxury of being able to stay in front of guys and not worry so much about having to be this rim protector.
I mean, I think that's fair. I do think Flagg, if the Mavericks get, number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever pick, then they should pick Boozer if he's available. However, ideal fits, like you talk about an offense with Cooper Flagg, Boozer, and then Derek Lively or like a Daniel Gafford, or I know you can eventually get a good center, but good centers are hard to come by, and they already have a couple. So you like offensively that kind of spacing? Because I think that's awful. Klay Thompson's only getting older, so he's not going to be part of the spacing. And then you don't have a point guard still. So who's creating? Like, I know you're saying Cooper Flagg is creating, and maybe I'm just a little bit lower on Cooper Flagg than you, but I don't think he's some number 1 distributor, number 1 scorer.
I mean, I think he has the potential of a number 1 scorer for sure. And I mean, he turned 19 in December of this year, so he'll be 19 for the first half of next season. He's super young. I mean, that's the only argument I'm going to make, is that he's super young and he has a lot of time to develop in the offseason and become a better scorer. And we've already seen a lot of flashes of it, where he had, I think it was back-to-back 40-point games at one point this season, most points ever by by, was it an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old in an NBA game?
So what peak Cooper Flag? What's his points per game?
Peak Cooper Flag points per game. I could see him being like a 28 points per game guy.
I think maybe we just might have to disagree on that because I think Cooper Flag maybe maxes out at 26. And if you want to talk about semantics, sure. But if you're a championship team, which if you get 2 generational prospects, not generational, Boozer isn't, but like really good prospects, you should have, in my opinion, one of them have that kind of ceiling. And I just don't believe in Flag ceiling. I think his value comes from his playmaking and his defense and his kind of creation, but I don't know. I personally don't like the fit. My number 2 team for Boozer is the Nets. He gets to kick out to guys like Claxton for the lob, kick out to MPJ. He gets to handle the ball because their point guards aren't necessarily point guards, but they still have point guards right now in Troer, in Igor Demin, in Ben Saraf. They have a bunch of guys who can make a pass. So they'll be able to hit Boozer. And then I personally think Boozer will thrive more when he gets the flexibility of testing out his jump shot a bunch and potentially being a really good passer or driver or post scorer. And I think he has so many aspects of his game that he can grow that I like him personally in the tanking, on tanking teams outside of the Memphis Grizzlies, obviously.
I do like that too, and not to just ride your coattails to success, but I'm gonna go with the Memphis Grizzlies as my second team. Same reasons you stated. I think him playing next to Ja Morant would be good for him. I think despite the lack of maybe spacing that the Memphis Grizzlies have, Ja is still a very good playmaker and could find him in good positions for him to score. And like you said, they have a good defense around him. It will help him to hide some of his I don't want to even say defensive liabilities because he is a fundamentally sound defender. You can't do anything about how long your arms are. It's the same issue that Alperen Şengün has. He's also a good defender. It's just sometimes you can't get to the ball as quickly if your arms are a little bit shorter. Nothing wrong with that.
He's not a roamer. He can't make plays, but he's fine defensively. I also think Boozer is someone that you actually, if you build around him, I think his ceiling can be higher versus a guy like Darren Peterson. So that's why I had teams like the Nets. And then now my third team is the Kings. I think the Kings have nothing to build off of. Sorry, Kings fans. That's just what it is. I guess like they have some cool centers who are like 22, 23 years old and Reynaud and Dylan Caldwell. But they have nothing to build off of. So you get Boozer on the Kings. And then now you build around him. You get a rim protector. You get a legit number 1 scorer next year in the draft. As long as they actually start doing this rebuild right, this is a team that can really raise Boozer's ceiling, in my opinion.
I was a little bit stuck between going the Nets and the Kings here, and I do just like the Nets a little bit more because of what they have already. I think it provides a little bit more for Boozer to have around it. So our disagreement is just, should he go to the Mavericks or not?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we have a similar idea of what we want for him. But yeah, no, I like the Nets for him, and the Kings would be my 4th pick.
Next up, AJ Dybonsa. My number 1 team for him is the Sacramento Kings. I think he would also thrive kind of like he thrived at BYU, where he is the main scoring guy and everyone just kind of plays around him. And right now the Kings don't really have anyone. So Dybonsa will get as many shots as possible. And I actually believe in his want to be really good at basketball, where he can go to a team like the Kings and it's not like Peterson. Dybonsa can want to be a good defender or a good playmaker no matter the circumstance. I mean, he just did it. Again, BYU is a good college program, but it's nothing like a Duke, like what Kentucky was, like a Illinois. So I think the more shots Dybonsa can get, the better.
I agree with that. I really do, and I like the Kings for him, but I like a team a little bit better because of that. And I like a team where he has a little bit more support. Let's put him on the Washington Wizards. That would be my number 1 pick for him to go to, simply because same philosophy as the Kings. That's a position they need. It's a guy they need. Obviously, the Kings need everything, whatever. But that's a guy they need. They need that scoring wing. And he's going to also be in a position where he's around Trae Young, which regardless of what you think about Trae Young is an elite playmaker, and he can find guys in good spots to score. He has Anthony Davis at the rim, so he has an elite rim protector behind him on defense that gives him the opportunity to make some mistakes. You know what he's going to be asked to do is score the dang ball, and he's going to be able to do that really well. And he has a desire to be good. He's going to be put into a situation that could be a winning situation. So I do like that a little bit more than the Kings.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't disagree with you. Wizards were my 3rd team. And honestly, you said everything. I don't really have to add any more. Next team for me, or the only other team, at number 2, Memphis Grizzlies. They have a bunch of talent. They have Edey. They have Ja Morant. But they also are lacking a number 1 scoring guy. I don't believe Ja is that. And it's not even for sure that Ja is going to be on the Grizzlies next season. I think there's so many good supporting wings. They have a guy, even good guards in a Ty Jerome, in a Scottie Pippen Jr., guys like that. And Dybonsa, like I said, he's going to get as many shots as he possibly can. But the Grizzlies actually have a defense around him. And I think while the Grizzlies' culture hasn't been good in quite some time since the grit and grind, I think Dybonsa can help create a culture.
I don't disagree with your logic there. My second team is going to be the Sacramento Kings. You kind of already said everything with regards to that too, but I do just like the idea of him going to a place where he's given the reins, and I think he's a guy who will definitely I think Peterson will do that too, but Dybonsa is the surefire guy that's going to take the reins and want to build a culture and want to play hard and all the qualifiers. He's gonna do all the extra. He's
all
like
the basketball.
He's like
things.
a white wide receiver. He's got all the extra qualifiers that make him good. But you know what I mean? Like he's gonna be good there. He's gonna do well. My number 3 team is actually the Milwaukee Bucks. Now think about how well Chris Middleton fit next to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then let's put a guy who can play the same position, who's taller and is a better scorer or has better scoring potential and just higher potential overall next to Giannis. Let's say the Bucks even trade Giannis. AJ Dybonsa is an amazing, player to fit into that team because it's similar to that Sacramento role where he is going to have to be the culture setter and the trend setter, and he's going to have to be kind of the leading scorer from day one. And I think he's going to take that role in stride. And then if he's next to a guy like Giannis, I don't think AJ Dybonsa is going to have a problem being second to a guy like Giannis. And he's also going to get a lot of opportunities in that offense, as we've seen before with, scoring small forwards that play next to him.
No, I don't blame you. Same exact ideology as the teams that I picked. Next up, Caleb Wilson, number 1 team, Brooklyn Nets. Similar to Cam Boozer, I think they have enough playmaking at the point guard position because they drafted like 5 different point guards in the first round last year, where he will be hit on cuts. He will be given time to kind of develop his game because I think he's really good now and he can be a complementary player. But I think if you give him a couple years on a tanking team, he can be really good. It gives the team rebounding. The Nets have sucked at rebounding this year. Just overall, I didn't pick a bunch of tanking teams for Caleb Wilson, but if there is going to be a tanking team, I do like the Nets.
I also like the Nets. You said a lot of it already, but he just gets put in a position where not only is he fulfilling a lot of the needs of the team, but he's also going to just be asked to do what he can already do. They don't need more scoring with Michael Porter Jr. and some of these guys already. They don't need more playmaking. He's going to get the chance to develop his skills well and also just really show what he can do already, which is play defense at a high level, rebound at a high level, and punch that damn thing. I keep saying it. I say it every time I bring up Caleb Wilson. I watched his dunk highlight tape. I was completely shocked. I did not know he had that in his game.
Number 2 team, Chicago Bulls. I actually picked him, or Cam picked him in the mock draft that we just did. Overall, I do love that he gets to play next to Josh Giddey, an elite playmaker. He gets to play next to Matas Buzelis. You can slide Buzelis to the 3, or come clutch time, Buzelis is a 4, and then Caleb Wilson is a 5. And I think overall, it's rumored that Billy Donovan will leave the Bulls, but I would love Caleb Wilson's fit with Billy Donovan. Even though he's a rookie, I think Donovan will play him and actually utilize him to the best of his ability.
I did just pick him with the Bulls in that mock draft, and they are my number 3 team, and I like a lot of what you said. But my number 2 team is actually the Indiana Pacers. And that may seem like a little bit of an odd pick considering how the Pacers play, but I think that Caleb Wilson is a guy that can run the floor effectively. I think he can provide a lot of physicality around the rim. And then you think about what the Pacers are missing it's a defensive presence, right? They don't have a defensive presence around the rim right now. And Caleb Wilson, even at 6'10", at a technical power forward position, can definitely provide that in the same way that Miles Turner did. And I also think in a similar way to my philosophy about the Nets, he's not going to be asked to do too much outside of himself on offense. He is going to be asked to be able to move the ball and find the right guy. But I think he is an intelligent enough player to do that.
I think if you're the Pacers, you're happy with him, but that's a bad fit. He's going to be coming off the bench. If you're Caleb Wilson, you don't want to come off the bench. You don't want to play for the Pacers. This is the best fit for the player. If you want his career to thrive, you're going to send him to the Pacers. I mean,
eventually, I think long run, yeah.
But Siakam isn't that old.
I mean, I don't think I don't know that Zubac is going to be like this long-term starter for the Pacers. I think he's going to be good next year for sure, and maybe the next couple of years. But I think Caleb Wilson could easily slide into the starting lineup sooner than later.
Wait, but you just said next couple years, so he's not going to be a starter till year 3.
I also think he can't play next to Siakam. I also think it's a successful situation. He's a young player. He can be in a position where he has developed well, and in a winning situation by the time he's 22, he can slide in the starting role. I don't think that's the craziest thing to say. I don't know that these guys should be. Maybe for Caleb Wilson himself and his own personal desires, he doesn't want to go to the Indiana Pacers, right? But I think it's a position where he can develop to the best of his abilities as a player, right?
So let's talk about then team versus team, because my number 2 team was the Bulls. You don't think that he'd thrive more next to Josh Giddey, who, if you ask the Bulls GM, is very similar to Tyrese Halliburton?
No, I think he would thrive more next to Tyrese Halliburton than Josh Giddey.
But 23 minutes a night, 25 minutes a night. He literally, how would he play next to Siakam? unless you put Siakam at the 5 or Caleb Wilson
I
at the
like
5.
Caleb Wilson at the 5 there. I mean, it gives you a bit of a different look, but I like Caleb Wilson.
I
at the
don't
5.
see him as like a rim protector, and I think if you're not an elite shooter or rim protector, you shouldn't be a center. He's an elite rebounder, but that's why I want him at the 4. At the 4 position, he is an elite rebounder.
I do agree with that, yeah, but it's not like Siakam is this elite rebounder at the 4 that's going to steal a bunch from him.
So again, just to reiterate, if you were Caleb Wilson, in your mind, the second team you would want to go to is the Indiana Pacers.
No, if I'm Caleb Wilson,
But that's the point. That's what he would want. Like this is kind of what he would want, isn't it? Because this is for the best fits for the player.
Sometimes you don't know what's best for you. Sometimes you don't know what you want. And I think the Pacers would be a good fit for him. I think it'd be a good place for him to go.
Third team, Milwaukee Bucks. I think it's kind of similar to the Nets. He'd be able to thrive. He has point guards next to him, like a Kevin Porter Jr., like a Ryan Rollins. And you know what? I'm proud of the Bucks for waiving Cam Thomas. They don't want stupid shot chucking guards that aren't going to help develop the other guys. And that's one of the reasons I think Caleb Wilson would be great.
The last player, a guy that has, gotten a lot of attention and for a lot of good reason, Darius Akuff Jr., extremely talented scorer. Where does he fit best? I think we both are. I actually don't know if we're both going to agree on this, but I agree with where we put him in our mock draft. I think the Dallas Mavericks are a exceptional fit for Darius Akuff Jr. I think it gives, number one, Cooper Flagg exactly what he needs in a point guard and a guy that can bring the ball up the court a lot. And it gives Darius Akuff Jr. exactly what he needs in that he is just going to be allowed to go out there and go score and go be the, whatever Jamal Murray kind of guy that he is. And be next to this great defensive player in Cooper Flagg. And while it kind of goes against my idea of Cooper Flagg being this high-level scorer that I would have him be next to Cam Boozer, I do think this is far and away the best fit for Darius Akuff.
I agree with you. Akuff is Kyrie Irving, and Cooper Flagg is LeBron James. And I think that kind of duo, the way that they mesh, they can win a championship, especially with defensive centers and all that.
That is a lot to put on the shoulders of Darius Akuff and Cooper Flagg, but
I think Akuff can live up to it. I don't think Cooper Flagg will live up to LeBron.
No.
But to say Akuff can be a Kyrie Irving, like that's not insane. I'm not underrating Kyrie Irving by any means, but I think Akuff is that talented offensively for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. The second team that I would have Darius Akuff going to is the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, I think you had Darren Peterson going to the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know how you feel about this as a Hawks fan. I'm very curious to get your perspective on it. But I do think that in spite of some of his defensive shortcomings, the Hawks really need that offensive initiator at the point guard position. Jalen Johnson is great as a distributor. He can score. He can do all those things. But sometimes I watch him in a half-court set, and I'm like, things just aren't, let's have an initiator. Let's have someone that, got a quick first step, get to the basket, get the offense going. You know what I mean? Darius Akuff can do that for you for sure. He's an elite shooter. He's an elite driver. He's a good playmaker. And he fits that mold that you've kind of said of like the Hawks allow everyone to bring the ball up the court and kind of pass and kind of do all their things. He's going to get the opportunity to, really facilitate and also score while not being the guy that has the sole amount of pressure on him, with Jalen Johnson being their kind of primary playmaker.
I don't disagree. However, I don't want Akuff on the Hawks because he can't guard. It's giving me Trae Young PTSD flashbacks, whatever. I don't think Akuff will be as bad of a defender as Trae Young, but we also don't know if Akuff will be as good of an offensive player as Trae Young. And I like Quinn Snyder's new identity of everyone on the floor can play defense. So I personally wouldn't with the Hawks. I don't know. I guess if you are Akuff, maybe you would love to go to the Hawks. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how many minutes he's going to be getting. If Quinn Snyder is set on this defensive scheme and this defensive ideology, I don't know if Akuff will be guaranteed minutes.
That's true. But Akuff also gives them that aspect of offensive explosiveness that they can afford with as good or as many good defenders as they're going to put on the court at any given time.
No, he can for sure. I think the Hawks would rather pick a guy with a higher defensive floor like a Mikal Brown Jr. who still has the ceiling of being an offensive guy. Now, maybe not as good as Akuff, but still a very good offensive guy. My second team for Akuff was the Kings. And it's actually a similar 2018 Atlanta Hawks ideology. Just get Akuff. No one else is on the court that's that good, and let him go off. Hit the roll man, hit the easy roll man, hit the easy white boy shooter, I guess. But besides that, score 25 a game. Go ahead. You could always draft players around him, sign players around him, just like the Hawks did in 2021. But just draft the point guard, and then everything else will hopefully be put together.
Yeah, I like that too. My third team was the Sacramento Kings, and I don't want to, spend time just saying what you said. I like that the freedom he would get on that team. I like that they already have two bigs that are kind of plugged in for that sort of pick and roll type of situation. And yeah, I like him on the Kings a lot. And shout out, honorable mention to a team not in the top 10 of odds. Please let him go to the Warriors. Please let him go to the Warriors. Please let him go to the Warriors. Like somehow, someway, I don't think they're going to jump up and get one of those top 4 guys, but that would just give me so much hope. But also, like, what am I doing on my hands and knees begging as a Warriors fan? Like, we're good. I think we're good to be asked for like the next 30 years.
Steve Kerr's going to play him like 15 minutes a night. Please, Warriors, don't get him. Don't ruin it.
Don't ruin him.
My number 3 team, Milwaukee Bucks. Unfortunately, they have some decent guards with potential like KPJ or Ryan Rollins. But if you just give Akuff the chance on that team, same ideology as the Kings. Just let him do whatever. Build around him.
I'd assume you're saying like if they trade Giannis, which you think they're going to.
Yeah, that's if they. I think they'll trade Giannis.
I like that.
But even if Giannis does stay, I think he could be a good fit next to Giannis and Miles Turner. I mean, defensively, that would be pretty great.
Yeah, I like that. I don't dislike that at all.
Yeah, I definitely want him to go out to either the first team, second team, or even the Hawks isn't a bad team at all. I kind of do agree with you. I just personally, I'm scared of getting a Trae Young-esque point guard. So,
but wouldn't you like to have a Kyrie Irving?
That would be pretty great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But you can't have Kyrie without LeBron. Kyrie's nothing.
Jalen Johnson.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, that's might be a closer LeBron James clone in terms of play style. Oh, actually, I don't know. Cooper Flag plays. That would be an interesting thing to talk about. Who plays the most like LeBron? I don't want to do it right now.
Paulo for about 2 weeks out of the season. Jalen Johnson or Cooper Flag.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
Cool. That was the video. If you guys enjoyed or disagreed with anything, let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the playoffs. I think that would be amazing if it happened. And I don't want it just to happen because of shorts. I also do want it to happen because of the long form. So if you made it to the end, let me know. Let us know what we got right, what we got wrong. And yeah.
No, just let him know what he got right and what he got wrong.
Well, I can take the criticism. I
can't handle it. I can't handle it. I just can't.
I can handle it in front of you, and then I go in my own room and I start crying. The hate comments really get to me. I hate the. I take the Pancake Lover 321 comments to heart. I really do. So if your name is Pancake Lover 321, I don't know.
We love you.
Screw you. 2 different opinions, 1 podcast.
Cool.
All right. Peace out.